Oh, that's great right there.
I'm going to show you the 1938 Dodge and tell you how I got it, what I've done to it, and you know, everything right before I paint it. I wanted to show, you know, all the metalwork. So I got this car when I was 15. My mom called me on her way to work. She said there was an old car out for sale on the side of the road for $400. Naturally, that piqued my interest, so we went to check it out. Yeah, it was pretty bad shape. You know, all the fenders were off of it, doors weren't working, the thing was pretty rough. Somebody had messed around with it and tried to modify it, but totally failed, and that's how it came into my possession. So I offered the guy $320, because that's pretty much all the money I had at that time. And he took the offer, so I ended up with the 1938 Dodge Brothers two-door sedan. That was 15 years ago, so I didn't you know, have really the skill set to do the intensive metalwork that this car required. So it basically just sat for a few years. Then, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, I really got into it. I built the frame, or the chassis, you know, the suspension. I had all that stuff in there, mocked up an engine. I chopped the top. I pretty much got it in its basic form. Fast forward till now, it's been sitting around in the back of the shop. It's been bounced around from place to place. You know, it's just kind of in the way. I got piles of parts for it all over the place. And now we're finally getting to the point where I think it's time to get it done and finish it and drive it. Because, you know, life's short. You got to have something. So let me walk you through it, and we'll see some of the modifications in more detail before, you know, it gets covered up and you don't see it. So let's go.
Yeah, show us your Ford.
It's a Dodge. First off, I guess we'll start with the chassis. The chassis is Toyota Supra suspension. That's the control arms, the spindles, the brakes, the steering. All that is from a Toyota Supra.
Spindle?
It's that's front and rear. So in the rear, it's got a limited slip differential, independent rear suspension, the brakes, all that stuff again in the back is Toyota Supra. And that's a 1987 Toyota Supra. And basically what's going on with the frame, it's all tubular frame. So I basically made a jig to hold all the mounting points for the suspension, and then built the frame around those mounting points. So now the suspension is bolted right to the frame. The body is significantly modified. There's a lot going on with that. To start with, there's 4 inches chopped right out of the top of it. A lot of times when they cut or chop the top, they'll splice it right here because they have to widen it, because obviously that's an angle, and when you lower it, it'll be off. But I moved the firewall in about 2 or 3 inches, so this smoothed in nicely and I didn't have to cut the top. That's a little detail in the back. The back is sort of just reclined in, so that was okay there. And then I took 7 inches out of the bottom of the car because it was just a mess. It was all rusted, and there was other metalwork in there from somebody else. It was just bad. So just cut that right out, and pretty much just cut up to the point where it was a clean metal. And then that's where I called the bottom of the car. You can kind of see in here a little bit of where it is now. So you can see the frame comes along in here, and this is tubing under here, and then it's sheet metaled. And then that's the transmission, drive shaft runs straight through. And then the roll cage is all integrated in here, and it's smoothed over. Pretty much modified the doors considerably to adjust for the firewall moving back in. And I had to change the hinges too, because I have exhaust there, so the door couldn't open in its traditional way, because obviously the bottom of the door would have been down here and it would have hit the exhaust and it would have been a mess. So in addition to that, the fenders, because I changed the bottom of the car, I basically just picked the fenders up, raised those up about 7 inches, and then just in the back they're just welded on, in the front they're picked up. Pretty simple body modifications on there, not a lot, but just to keep it all together when you're cutting it apart is quite a challenge. I made the hood from scratch with an English wheel. Just formed it. The radiator has been reclined. because this before would have stuck straight up vertical. I have some Indian motorcycle headlights to go in here. They're a really cool teardrop shape. Yeah, so under the hood, we'll see how this opens up like that and sticks like that. It's running a built small block Chevy, nothing super high performance because I want this to be a driver, but I've had this motor for a long time too. And then it's got a T5 transmission out of a 1988 Camaro, so it's a T5 world-class transmission. Let's see, what else we got in here? We got stainless steel exhaust. So the headers I just bought, but from there I had to custom make them to what you see on the side. It's just a 1 into 2 Y with a flex pipe. All right, so in the back, as you can see, like I said, we just reclined this window back in. We didn't actually chop the back window. These cool little things I put in here, I added some there's some venting in there. And then there's a little LED light in each one of those for the third brake light. Back down here, these are Oldsmobile taillights, which I kind of added in there. They're 1939 Oldsmobile aluminum taillights. So they'll be cool. This is a stock 1939 taillight lens, and I'm trying to get something with a cone on it. That's cool, but it's not that cool because this is like a rocket shape. So it'd be cool to follow that point, because we're going to keep with the pointed themes. There's a lot of points because it's going fast, and this will make it faster. And those are 3/4 inch thick stainless steel. They're built in here on the frame, and they're basically for scraping. They're because this car is pretty low, and the streets, if you got a steep driveway or something you got to get into, you don't want the car to scrape and destroy the bodywork. It'll probably leave its mark in the pavement, but whatever. You can see some of the tubular framing that's going on. There's a 19-gallon fuel tank with the fuel filler here. So that's my car. I think I explained it okay. You probably have a lot more questions about it than I have answers. So for now, we'll just follow along and we'll see the progress of it, because within the next week, I'm going to start blasting it all apart and painting it and putting it back together. And we'll try to document it, how it goes together. So, because there's a lot of parts on here that are not even on it yet. Okay, thanks for watching.
I'm just gonna keep stopping by and checking out.
Yeah, man, do it. Yeah.
So what do you need a help for?
Well,
You gotta push them which way?
I gotta get the wheels down, and we gotta back it up.
Okay.
So we can get it in. That should be enough.
Should paint up pretty nice, but we'll see what it looks like underneath. Looks pretty good. I don't know where the exhaust is going to go. I don't know where I'm going to put the mufflers. Right here, maybe? No.
No, they just all the work and craftsmanship was just
Yep, and we're not done yet.
Yeah, we're not done yet,
Doing it.
right? This is amazing. Good job.
Over here.
Like usual, like always.
Trying. Always try. Okay, so there's not really any routine here about how to take this thing apart. Just taking it apart. Try to keep track of the pieces. And we're gonna get ready for painting it. What do we take apart first? You got time lapse on this? You get time lapse on this?
What do you think? Maybe?
Yeah, I think you should do time lapse on it. Hello.
Hello? Hey, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
I'm going to be a little late. I don't know where the hell my ride's gone to.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll be here all day, so whenever you get here.
Okay, because I can't take his girlfriend to the doctor's and they're going to be bed time. I don't know where he is now. He's not answering his phone.
Well, he's probably driving to you.
Huh?
Okay, he's probably driving to you right now, so
Yeah, hey, see you later.
say it.
Who's that?
It's Bob. You don't see Oldsmobile out there.
Oldsmobile. I want to go check it out.
Now let's talk about a rocket, my friends. I mean a rocket engine Oldsmobile. A rocket engine is found in the 88, Super 88, and the 98 Oldsmobile.
Wait a minute there, friend. Wait a minute. Come again?
Oh, I see. I gotta differentiate. The 88 is for economy. The Super 88 for glamour and gold. The 98 is for luxury and pride. And they all spell Olds with a capital O-L-D. That's Olds, pronounced new. And that's new. It's fabulous.
It's wonderful.
It's beautiful. You gotta see it. You gotta drive it. It's the Oldsmobile for 1959.
Where are we going?
We're gonna go to Fargo for lunch.
Oh, yeah. Who's buying?
Champions. Alright. Little problems here and there. You can...
Okay.
All right, man. Good doing work for you.
Thanks a lot.
Feel the rhythm. Feel the beat. Like that. Set it down on it. Just tack weld it. Paint the whole rest of the car. Section around here. Cut those off. Pick it up. Smooth it out. And then we'll paint that area. Okay, as you can see, we've got it all taken apart. Pretty much just got to start stripping the paint off and smoothing out the bodywork on it, and then basically spray it and then put it all back together. It's minor, but we'll get there. Pretty empty. Pretty sad and empty cage here. Got it at a little work cart so you can work around with it. It's kind of at a nice angle so you can watch me down here to it, working on the thing, which is pretty nice. Yep, thanks for watching. All right, so after working on this thing for about a week, getting all the paint off, used the chemical stripper, the abrasive wheel, got it down to as close to bare metal as I could. At this point, I'm ready to prime the body and then do some body filler and then probably prime it again and then paint it and then put it back together. So let's do it. Which one do you think is gonna move first? Great. Okay, we got everything lined up here, as you can see, and we're gonna mix up the primer and spray it on. Okay, it's primed. Pretty unpleasant, but we're done. Feel really good. Okay, we're here. Let's see if we can find some paint.
Those are a real good depiction of what the color is going to be. This helps sometimes so you can see a little bit better.
Oh yeah, it kind of takes the gloss out.
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead and take that. Maybe I'll shine in his eyes too. It's pretty bright. I like that.
Like my shirt. There you go.
I guess then it would just be if you want to go with the flat or the semi-gloss.
Semi-gloss, I think.
Semi-gloss,
Yeah, just middle of the road, somewhere in between.
Sure thing.
It's a terrible color. I look stupid when I'm driving it.
Turn it all the way.
You guys are all set then.
Yeah.
If you have any questions when you're doing that, give me a call.
Yeah, this says it, but it was 6 to 1.
6 to 1 to 1, yep.
Awesome. All right,
Cool.
Andrew, right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Got paint. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how it looks in the can. Sort of a semi-gloss paint. You just spray it on. I think we'll do 2 coats. And then that'll be it. We don't have to clear coat it or anything. So, can't mess up. Only one try. All right, it's painted. I think it looks good. Ed thinks it looks good. We are totally out of paint. There was 6 quarts and it just barely made it. So that was like a lucky thing because it's kind of a pain in the ass to get more. That's it, so we basically just let it dry at this point and try to put it back together without scratching it up. That was fun. Kind of some progress and some regress here on the Dodge. Ended up having some engine issues. It was all ready to basically put the wheels on and drive. So I started it up and it immediately started to knock. I knew right away there was a pre-existing engine failure. I'm like halfway between rebuilding it right now. What ended up happening, you can see here, this the bearings had a spun bearing from the previous builder, and it basically melted the bearings. This is a crap one. This is a new bearing, so it kind of smushes them up, and in the process, because it's not lubricating right, it'll just spin, and it'll actually. So this crankshaft, it's got like a bunch of grooves all over in it, so it basically is ruined. I had to get a new crankshaft and get a couple of the connecting rods straightened out and get those fixed so they're not, because that was a little messed up in there. Other than that, we'll put the rest of it together and you know, it should be a good week at least, and then we'll take it for a drive or whatever. But I'll show you the rest of it while we're at it. Okay, so as you can see, the engine is out. Came out pretty easy. I kind of thought it through to make sure you can dismantle the stuff if you need to service it. So should go back in pretty simple. We got the pipes on, which sound great, by the way. Those were freaking super. I didn't listen to them very long, but seemed to be pretty mild tone to them. The knock in the engine was sort of noticeable more than anything, but hopefully that'll go away. Got the body stainless all on. This is the original stainless steel, which was cut down to size to fit the shortened door, and then it was polished. It catches the lines of the car really nicely. Haven't got the door handle on yet, but we'll get to that. Inside, I got the Porsche seats. They're mounted, fit really good. Got Dakota digital gauges, which are nice because they fit the original size of the bezel, because I wanted to keep the dash as much original as I could. Still got to do, obviously, the interior panels and the glass, but that's coming later. The wheels are just those stock Lexus wheels. They fit good, so I'm going to just run them for now. I can't really find nice period correct wheels that are in my price range right now, so any wheel is going to have to be custom made to match this back spacing, so we'll just deal with that. Up here I got the taillights, 39 Oldsmobile aluminum taillights, which I polished, and I wanted a cone lens, which I found this little piece. This is a plastic reproduction, and it's got LEDs in it. It's made for a 58 Corvette. I got the vents on, and those are old boat. They're like the engine compartment vents. I just put them back there, and I added some grating on the bottom, and I put an LED light in there for the third brake light. Just for style, you know. All there's to it, really. Got the trunk latch done. Obviously installed the trunk. Did the undercoat paint in the bottom. and sort of on the inner fenders. It's actually bed liner paint. You just spray it on, and you know, it's usually for truck beds, so they take a lot of abuse. So I think it works good on the back and bottom of the car. Sort of protects the metal from stones and stuff. Fuel tank's in. Yeah, the car is just about ready to go, except for I had to take the engine out. So put it back together, we'll get it on the road, and we'll take you for a ride in it. Should be fun. Looking forward to it. Jeep, jeep, jeep. Ram, ram. Get you back grounded. Make believe right now. Car's a 1938 Dodge, two-door sedan. My name's fabrication. I run a shop called Theonomics here in Aurora, and that's pretty much what I do now is build classic cars. In the meantime, I do a couple crazy side projects. This car is pretty special just because I've owned it for 15 plus years. I bought it 15 years old. I was on the side of the road for 320 bucks. Didn't even have a driver's license, and didn't really know how to build cars or work on cars. So from pretty much nothing, no skill, to having the skill to actually build a car has just evolved over time. And almost everything on it I've done myself. Worked on it now and then every chance I get, but to finally get to drive it and move it around under its own power is pretty special. Pretty highly modified car. It's got 4-inch chop, 7-inch in the body. The fenders were raised. It's got a custom hood and a lot of custom body features on it. It's a tubular frame with Toyota Supra suspension, and it's got a 350 small block Chevy with a 5-speed G5 transmission. Pretty much endless modifications done to it, but overall I tried to keep it as original looking as I could, considering maintained a lot of the emblems and stainless trim, you know, to try to preserve the feel of a 30s car, because they were definitely unique when they were made. And you got to stick with the vintage and try to preserve it as best you can when you're building stuff. So it's obviously not totally finished. There's still endless work you can do to a car, really. But this one I hope to get, you know, the interior put in it, something more comfortable and, you know, to drive around with. The wheels are something I'm definitely not happy with, and we're looking to change here as soon as possible, but it's, you know, they're expensive and there's a lot of fun things to spend money on around here. Once the spring hits and the weather turns, I think it'll be a lot of fun to start taking it to shows and sort of getting people's reactions to the car, and, you know, and it's you know, that's half the point, is to share them with other people and go cruising and stuff. So that's something to look forward to.